Hello everybody, I want to welcome you back to the channel, and at the same time I suppose I want to welcome myself back to the channel. It's good to get back to doing some continuing the progress on the plane here. You can see I've got the left wing up here on the sawhorses, and only thing I've done so far is I've just gone around the perimeter and just given it a light sanding, just to make sure everything is smoothed out, and took care of any ridges and things that might have been left from the urethane. And the only thing you missed so far was just I got obviously the other wing completely urethaned, which was this wing, and then I also got the other aileron urethaned. So we're now done with that can down there. Unless I find something I missed, I may have to pop it out and touch something up, but I've looked everything over really good and I actually don't see anything. So everything looks really good, which is green light to cover. So the only thing that you need to do is give yourself a good gluing surface to the rib. Now, as you know, I do intend to rib stitch, so but that doesn't negate the fact that you want to make sure that you still have good adhesion to the rib. So what I'll do is I'll just take a sanding block here, and we're just going to run our block over the rib, and you can see kind of like this area right here. There's like a high spot in the urethane. It's kind of nice and smooth across here. There's a couple high spots here. Those are what we're after, so we want to get those taken care of. So we have a nice smooth rib surface to attach to. Not a lot of stress in this because or at least let me speak for EcoBond. EcoBond is 100% waterproof. So since this is going to be completely covered in EcoBond, you don't have to be too concerned if it looks like your urethane is getting a little bit thin when you're smoothing this out, because that's going to get glue on it, fabric attached to it, a reinforcing strip attached to that, and then obviously a finishing tape over top of that. So there's and the stitches themselves. So there's plenty of waterproofing to come. So all right, so I'm going to go ahead and do these ribs here, get them all smoothed out, and then we're going to be ready to lay out some fabric. Okay, so I've got that, that's all taken care of, and we are, all the ribs look good now, ready for some glue. And one thing I wanted to do before, I'm going to attempt this by myself. I don't know if I can do it. If I can't, I'll have to wait till I have Spencer here to give me a hand. But I've got my ratchet ready. As you know, I've got to get inside here and I have to tighten these up because they are a little bit loose from just a little shrinkage in the wood. And so this is my plan, and we'll see how it goes. I've got it lined up with my first nut there, right there. You can see that way. So I'm just going to come out here on my stick and I'm going to kind of mark where that is. So I'll have some reference point as to how far I need to go in. And then I'm going to go the rest of the way to the next nut here, and then I'll mark that one. And then this will give me some clue before I start searching around for getting on the nut. I believe once I get it on there, I may be able to come on the outside and tighten it with just this as support on the inside. Yeah, we'll see. We'll give it a try. I know it'll work if I've got somebody to hold it, but we'll see how this goes. All right. All right, so moving on from that, I will say that if I was doing this over, I would actually add a couple ribs in here, a couple of additional ribs probably, and then I would put a oval shaped access panel right here. I could make that access panel now and then get some reinforcing in behind it. But I'm going to forego that, knowing that I can be successful getting something on this nut and getting this tight. I'll just have to do it when I flip the wing over, and we'll do it from the top side before we put the covering on the top. And even then, it's not that big a deal. I can do it at any time because there's going to be a inspection ring right here, so I can always access these even if the wing is fully covered. So that's not a problem. I do believe I'm going to need to find something stiffer than that piece of wood, probably, to make the reach, because it kind of bends in there and flexes around. Something more rigid will certainly help that. So moving on, what we're going to do here is here's the plan. There's a couple different ways to do this covering job, and I'm going to take the path of having the seam actually be right here on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is so the bottom fabric will go from here 2 inches in all the way back and wrap around the trailing edge, and then the top fabric will come all the way around the leading edge. And what that allows for is I'll just have a nice smooth leading edge. Or you can split your fabric evenly, top and bottom, and have your seam right on the front. It's just my preference to go this way. So what I'll end up with is a 2-inch overlap of fabric right here, and then we'll end up putting a 3-inch finishing tape over top of that. So that will be how we do this. You have more than enough. You really only need about 62 inches or so of fabric to make it from here all the way back around to the trailing edge on the top side. And all I did was just took my tape measure just to verify, because I wanted to be absolutely certain about that. So I have 70 inches of fabric. The fabric is 70 inches wide, so it just came all the way around, basically. And it's 54 inches, 54 and a half inches to where the overlap is going to be. And what that'll do is I'll have about 30, roughly 39, about 30 inches of fabric left over, and that's enough fabric to actually cover an aileron. So by doing it this way, what's left over from this first bottom piece, you'll actually be able to use that to cover the aileron. So yeah, so I'm going to mark this out, get this 2 inches marked, so we can get some glue on here, pretty much all the way around the perimeter and on the ribs. You wouldn't want to forget to put it on the ribs before. All right, so now I'll get set up with my fabric glue. When we come to the edges here, we'll actually be coming down about 2 inches as well, down the side. So we'll get that painted in as well. And on the back side, we'll leave enough we're going to be overlapping. If this was the top side, basically we'll be coming in between here, laying it across here, cutting it to fit in between there. All right, so let me get some glue ready, and we'll be off and running here. Okay, so I've got all that done, and you know when this is ready to move on. When here's a good example. This area is still very blue. This has turned a dark green. This is when it's dry, and when it's ready. So it almost becomes in some places kind of transparent, but you can easily see there the difference between the two. So I have this on, and so the game plan is, I missed a rib there. I missed it right there. Let me hit that real quick. Can't be missing ribs. And everybody else is good. So, okay. So like we did when we were doing covering before, we'll lay the fabric on here. We'll get it cut to size, and then we'll come along with our iron, just maybe around 200 degrees, and we'll iron down all around the perimeter, not the ribs. We just want to iron all around here, around the trailing edge. So we'll just get this rectangle all ironed down, and then after that we will come back and we'll put another coat of glue through the fabric so that it adheres to this one that's underneath, and then we let that dry. And once that's done and we have everything cut and overlapped and ironed down and double coated, then when that second coat that goes through the weave into this glue here is dry, then we start shrinking, and we'll be shrinking from the middle, working our way out to the edges. And what we want to do at first is we only want to shrink in between the ribs, because we don't want to attach to the ribs right away. We want the fabric to be free to float across those as it tightens up. So we'll be super careful not to run the iron across here and actually glue the fabric to that. That we don't want to do. We want to allow it to shrink evenly across all of these. And then once we have it shrunk 250 degrees and we're happy with that, then we'll come back and we'll actually iron to the rib. And once we get the fabric ironed to the rib, then we'll do the same. We'll come back with that second coat of glue over top of that. And then after that, we can move on to the other side of the wing. I was debating as to whether or not I want to go ahead and seal the fabric once I have it like that, but I think I'm going to wait and seal it all at once. So we'll get that much done. We'll flip it over, then we'll do the top side. And actually, after we get it cut for the top side, we'll start with it upside down. We'll get this seam kind of ironed on first, and then we'll pull it around and across the top, and so on. But I'm kind of jumping ahead there. So, all right. yeah, let's give this a few more minutes, and then we'll get the fabric down, and we'll get rolling on that. All right. All right, so I figured out the fabric. The second roll has and more than enough. So and I have another package as well. It's too bad I have so much left over on that one roll. But I could split the ailerons in the middle if I wanted to, if it comes to that, which I don't think it will, because I have enough fabric from doing the two bottom pieces to do both ailerons, so that's good. But right now it's just a little pumpkin pie break, so a little leftover. I'll be right back. All right, so once we get the fabric laid out, just kind of smoothed out, what I wanted to do was I needed to get up against these strut mounts, and I just make a little mark here, and now we'll cut some little slits in the fabric here, here and back here, and then we'll pull this loose and we'll slip it on so that it fits over there. When you shrink, that's going to pull like a little bit and open up, but you don't have to worry about it because you're going to put a reinforcing doily over top of that, so that's not a big deal. So now let me get those cut, and then we can get this iron down and keep moving. All right, so just going around the perimeter now, getting everything, just smoothing it out where I want to iron it down. Any smoothing I can do now will actually make this ironing process a whole lot easier. Okay, so we'll be using the same technique as we did before, and what we'll be doing is we'll be getting our glue here, and we'll be putting it down through the fabric. Whoops, maybe it would help if I show you that. And we'll do a section also like we did before, and then after we get that on, then we're going to come back, we're going to wipe it off. That helps push it down, push it down through the fabric, and making sure that glue gets down in there good. So again, this is the Strut Systems method. Might not apply, and I'm sure it doesn't apply to all methods. This is just happens to be for this one, so right, so here we go. Okay, so I've got the wing flipped over now, so we can get this here tucked in, and it looks like I'm going to end up taking a little bit more off of it. I can take at least a 1/4 inch off the edge. You can see how it kind of comes in and overlaps there. I just want it to just come back just right to the edge, so I want to take about that much off. Probably 3/8 of an inch. Should be pretty easy to figure out with the scissors. And then we'll get this tucked under and attached. See what we can do with this. Okay, so you can see how I've got these cut now, how I want them. These parts in between here, these will come all the way back, and then this will just lap over right here, because that's really all we need there. So I've got that cut, those cut all the way down. Now we'll get our glue in here, and then we'll get it ironed over in place. And once it's ironed over in place, again, we'll put another coat over top, and then that'll be good. Then we can flip the wing back over, get the fabric shrunk, attached to the ribs, and then move on to the top side. The only thing I sort of regret, well, I don't know if I regret it, but I wish I would have done it anyway, is I wish I would have sanded the top ribs before I did the bottom, so that I didn't have to come back. And now I'm going to be dropping all of this on top of the shrunk fabric on the bottom. But I think it won't be a problem, because I'll kind of flip it over and take my air gun and kind of blow it out before I put the fabric on the top side. So all right, moving on. Let's get this glued on, and we'll be ready to flip it back over. All right. Okay, so we're ready to shrink now. That's all done on the other side.
I will show you kind of what that looks like. Pretty simple, not too difficult to do. You could see that I was giving it a good tug as I was pulling it around, just to make sure that we had a nice crisp edge on there, without any bubbles or anything. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to start the iron at 225, just to get some light shrinking in there, and then we'll come back with the iron at 250, and that'll be the full shrink. And like I mentioned before, we'll just start out here in the middle. We'll work our way to the outside edges. All right, so this is where we're at right now. You can see there's these slight puckers right at the rib, and we'll get those out by working up to the rib, and that'll get everything. We'll go over the whole thing one more time, all the way down, and then that's at, I noticed when I put the iron on the fabric it was dropping about 5 degrees, so I actually turned it up a little bit higher so that while it's sitting on the fabric it's at 250. So now we'll do this one more time, and then we'll be ready to iron the ribs down. Okay, so everything's shrunk and ironed down to the ribs, and this is the way it would typically be done if you weren't going to rib stitch. This is enough to hold it. So especially now I have to come back and I've got to do the now we come back and we put glue on this. And then just like we've done every other time, let me just wipe it off. And then we'll
be ready for our reinforcing tapes. So that's cool. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that up here, doing all that, and that'll be it for me today. But thanks for hanging out with me. I know many of you have been just waiting for me to get on to the next step, so it took me a long time to get this urethane on, along with vacations and COVID and business trips and just all kind of things were interrupting. And otherwise, hey, I wanted to update you, those of you who are curious about my propeller. It's finally finished, and it is on a FedEx truck headed to me. So it's coming from Chicago. I'm expecting I'll get it sometime this week. I should get some tracking information tomorrow. So thanks to Dominic over there, great communication. Really appreciated his all of his emails and kind of talking me through, what I'm after. I told him that, what I was looking for was a 70-mile-per-hour cruise. And so he took my whole airplane into account, my engine, horsepower, everything, and he came up with the prop. So my prop is 56 by 24, and I have red tips and an anti-glare black on the back. So back of the prop is black, tips are red, front is just natural laminated wood. So it should be a beautiful prop. Looking forward to getting that, obviously. The price was $580 shipped to me, and if you are wanting a propeller from Performance Propellers, this took almost exactly 11 months. So their process is you just fill out the prop order form, and they put you in the lineup, and then Dominic will contact you when they're getting close to carving your prop, and they will at that point go ahead and work out the payment arrangements with you and everything when they get to that stage, so you don't have to pay to get in the lineup. If you need a prop in 11 months, I really suggest that you get in that lineup. So anyway, yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I will catch you later.